spring semester Slavic and East European Studies student lecture. I am Angela Brintlinger, Director of the Center for Slavic and East European Studies here at Ohio State University. And I'm delighted this afternoon to be able to introduce our speaker, Budimka Uskokovic, who is a former student of mine. She has completed the graduate interdisciplinary specialization in East European and Eurasian Studies at our university and was in my class last year, which was simply delightful. So good to get to know her. She is a PhD candidate, Max Kade Fellow, and Felice M. Grad Endowed Scholar, a distinguished graduate teaching assistant in the Department of Germanic Languages and Literatures here at Ohio State. She's a native of Belgrade, Serbia, where she used to live until 2011, when she came to the US to pursue her master's degree in teaching English as a second language and linguistics. Currently, she is writing her dissertation here at Ohio State on interculturality in Belgrade. I'm going to let her announce the title of her own talk, and I'm going to let her take it away. I will disappear. Please put your screen on speaker view and enjoy the talk.
So thank you so much, Dr. Brintlinger, for introducing me. I'm really honored to have this opportunity to present my preliminary findings today when Serbia is celebrating its statehood day and when the United States are celebrating their President's Day in the year which marks the 140th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. So thank you, Dr. Brintlinger, for inviting me to give a graduate student lecture, and thank you, Alicia, for organizing this event and for making certain that everything goes smoothly. And finally, I would like to thank all of you who came today to support me. So I'm going to share now my screen to show you my topic. So my topic today is focuses on foreigners in Belgrade. So under the definition of foreigners, I understand all people from other countries who actually came to Serbia, particularly to Belgrade as tourists, and then decided to call Belgrade their new home, their short-term or long-term home. And some of them actually decided to stay in Belgrade forever. And they are now citizens with equal rights. And I do not add any negative meaning to this word. So the title of my presentation today is actually Belgrade Becomes Paradise for Foreign Entrepreneurs. So actually I'd like to start with a personal anecdote. So back in June, I decided to come to Belgrade to visit my parents and to spend some time here while working on my dissertation. And at the airport in New York, at the JFK airport, I came across many Americans who actually decided to come to Belgrade, some of them for the first time. And while I was sitting on a plane, I also started interacting with some Americans. And after telling them that I was born in Belgrade, they asked me which points of interest they should visit in Belgrade. So I was really surprised to see how many people were heading to Belgrade and wanted to see the capital of Serbia. And then I started reading some domestic and international newspapers and magazines to get more information about the popularity of Serbia in the world. And here are some of the deadlines that I actually came across. So as you can see, in 2019 and 2020, Serbia was actually one of the top best valued tourist destinations in not only in Europe, but in the whole world as well, so worldwide, and in China as well. So as you can see here, Serbia, next stop destination for Chinese tourists. And from January to August of 2019, nearly 2.5 million tourists visited Serbia. So this is just a great number of people who decided to come to visit Serbia. So all these headlines that I was able to find online in some digital newspapers and magazines, and they all led me up to my further examination of this very interesting topic. So I actually wanted to know when Serbia became one of the best valued travel destinations, what has changed since I left the country back in 2011, and how many foreign people are residing in Belgrade at the moment, and what are some attractions that I usually like to see. So here is the outline of my presentation. So I will first say my introduction. I'll present the larger framework of this topic. So I'll present the context in which I actually placed my research. And then I will draw on some past and present facts that can help you and me understand the context in which my research is placed. And those facts actually shape the everyday life of Serbian people as well. And then I will show some improvements that have been made recently, so mostly since 2013. And after that, I'll present my preliminary findings. And I would like to emphasize that this is an ethnographic study and that my findings are based on my personal observations, some travel logs, interviews from different domestic and international newspapers and magazines. And the aim of my research investigation is to show why foreigners usually come to Serbia and to present their own stories. So in the end, I will conclude my presentation with my own observations about some future trends. I also want to emphasize that I'm fully aware of some limitations that this study might have, such as the time that I actually had for the study and the sample of people that I was able to find, and also some of the effects that these new trends might have on the population in Serbia. So before I show you the next picture, I just have to warn you that some of you might find the next pictures a little bit disturbing, but this is just a warning. So I will try to place my research now in some context so I can give you some background information. So looking back at the year of 1999, when airstrike campaign was undertaken against the country, which back then used to be Yugoslavia, we remember that many foreign people had left the country just before the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia, started on the 24th of March without UN authorization and fiercely opposed by China and Russia. And that consequently, many foreign embassies were closed, that even the Chinese embassy, an important diplomatic mission, was bombed just before midnight on the 7th of May, 1999. And between March, the 24th of March and the 10th of June, 1999, according to Human Rights Watch, 528 civilians were killed. So there were many material losses. And here on the left side, you can see the Chinese embassy just after the 9th of May. And on the right side, you can see the building of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Yugoslavia back in 1999. when it was bombed. And today, this building is a business center and can be seen on the way from the airport, Nikola Tesla, to one of the most modern hotels, such as Hyatt or Marriott, in the downtown of Belgrade. So today, many tours are organized for foreign tourists in Belgrade, during which tourists can now see Belgrade, can get to know Belgrade, how it used to look like at the end of the 20th century. And these two buildings, so the Chinese embassy and the building of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, also symbolize the end of the socialist regime, which then happened in 2000, and the beginning of socio-demographic and economic changes, in addition to all political changes which are beyond the scope of my study. And they also present the fact that Belgrade rose again like a phoenix from the ashes. So here we have a graph, and we can see actually that the population in Serbia is decreasing. So this is just another important factor that can actually shape our background knowledge about Serbia nowadays. So since 1999, according to Zoran Đorđević, Serbia's labor minister, back in 2019, when he gave an interview, 654,000 people had left the country. And as you might know, just in the States, in the United States, there are approximately 300,000 Serbian people living. So according to the Serbian Statistical Office, as of 2019, there are 6.96 million people living in Serbia. And as we can see by looking at this graph from the Serbian Statistical Office, the population in Serbia is decreasing as we speak due to the reduced opportunity to find a steady job, low living standard, low income, low birth rate, and elderly population, just to name a few factors. So if we know all this, so how is it possible that people from other countries get attracted by Serbia? So how does that actually happen? So that was actually the question that I also posed to myself back in June, and then I tried to find more information about that. So, and this is what I actually came across. So there are some improvements that have been made, especially for the last 7 years. So according to the Ministry of Finance, many improvements have been made recently. So first, Serbia became one of the best places for investments. Many investors see Belgrade as a safe city, which has a good geographic position and connections with other countries in the Balkans. So all investors can receive excellent incentives, such as the lowest corporate tax rate in Europe, which is around 10%, well-trained and multilingual employees at low cost, between 2,000 and 10,000 euros are granted to all investors in the field of research and development, production and services, and there is no double taxation. So some imports are not even subject to custom duties. Another factor that can be important for shaping our context is also that Serbia is more liberal than any other country in its neighborhood. That's what we can usually find. And then the third factor would be that since the accession negotiation to the European Union started back in 2014, 70% of investments from the European Union have been made in Serbia. Some of the countries, besides the countries in the European Union, they started investing in Serbia, our United States, Switzerland, Turkey, Russia, Hong Kong, China, and Japan. So just one additional fact is that in September of 2020, the United States International Development Finance Corporation even opened an office in Belgrade. So, and here we can see some of these improvements or actually investments that have been made. So a new office by Microsoft. So we can see here the Microsoft Development Center in Serbia in Belgrade. So one of the first US software companies to open an office in Belgrade was actually Microsoft. And Microsoft Development Center Serbia was established in 2005. And as of 2018, it employs 200 developers. So as we can see, some of these investments actually started even before 2013. But on the second picture here, we see that the Science Technology Park Belgrade was established as a partnership between the Republic of Serbia government, so represented by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technological Development, and the City of Belgrade, and the University of Belgrade. And some of the studies are actually based on some international experiences and the best scientific practices in industry. So most recently, right here on the right side, the last picture, here, is showing one of the German discount supermarkets that were opened back in 2018. So this is Lidl, and Lidl actually opened 18 stores back in 2018. And here you can purchase some of very famous international and domestic products. And I guess more interestingly to all of you is that some international movies have been filmed in Serbia and Belgrade, and this is one of them. I hope you can recognize this movie if you have watched it. It's The November Man, right? That was filmed back in 2013. So more than 100 international movies have been filmed in Belgrade since 2006. Many Hollywood and Bollywood producers find Belgrade to be a great place to produce their movies. Some of the Hollywood producers who have visited, or an actress as well, who have visited Serbia lately, and actresses, are Ralph Fiennes, Julia Roberts, Pierce Brosnan, and also Kevin Costner, while making the movie 3 Days to Kill in 2014. And last year, Johnny Depp was also in Belgrade while filming his newest movie. So because of its architecture, open markets, cafes, train and bus stations, and luxurious restaurants, Belgrade is considered to be a great place to produce movies. So right now, many Chinese producers are filming in Belgrade, or some are even thinking about filming in Belgrade. And one of the incentives that all producers can receive is a 25% cash rebate, which proved to be one of the best incentives so far. So according to the website Film in Serbia, Serbian film industry has expanded almost 3 times in just 4 years. So in addition to technological, research, economic, and cultural investments, Air Serbia, the Serbian airline company, started expanded. As you can see here on this picture, right here in the right upper corner, So Serbia started expanding the number of destinations they fly to. In 2016, it began to operate non-stop flights from New York to Belgrade, or from Belgrade to New York, for the first time since 1992. And since many tourists started to visit Belgrade, especially from China, joint police patrols were created in order to make communication easier for Chinese tourists and to make them feel safer, as Serbian Interior Minister noted in 2019 for Global Times. And then finally, we also have some improvements on another level. Some laws have been implemented to address human rights and to embrace diversity and inclusion. So in August of 2018, a Pride Info Center, so a center where usually the LGBTQ community can find more information, was opened in the downtown of Belgrade. So all these actually was just a background information that I wanted to share with you before I start talking about my study. So up to this point, I have presented some important facts to showcase that the image of Belgrade as capital city of Serbia has been changed, and that it is now less difficult to travel to one of the best value destinations in Europe, as shown at the beginning of this presentation. And now, after presenting those very important facts and shaping the context, I would like to share now some research questions I had in mind while collecting some profiles of foreign entrepreneurs in Belgrade. So in this study, I attempt to answer 3 questions. So the first question would be, what do foreign entrepreneurs who come to Serbia have in common? Why do they actually come to Serbia, and what can Serbia offer them? Right, those are some 3 questions. Those are the 3 questions I had in mind while working on this study. So in order to answer these questions, I have collected around 50 profiles. I usually looked for those profiles in social media, like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So something that was available to me at the moment. And in order to answer the questions, I also tried to categorize those profiles into 2 groups. So based on the age or based on some commonalities that those foreign entrepreneurs have. In order to answer the first question, so what do foreign entrepreneurs who come to Serbia have in common? In order to answer that question, I actually looked at the age. I was really interested to see how old they are, and are there some common trends between them that actually can help us understand who are those people. So most foreign people who come to Serbia are young people between 20 and 45 years of age. They come from different countries, mostly from China, the United States, Russia, and from different countries in the European Union. And most surprisingly, from Brazil, Vietnam, and Australia. That's something I did not expect at all. So most of them did not learn Serbian prior to coming to Belgrade, but they did learn, or they're still learning Serbian in Belgrade. And then the other group would be retired people who now have more time to travel and who seek more affordable housing. Then I'll try to answer the second question. So going back to my research question. So why do foreign entrepreneurs come to Serbia? And here is what I was able to find, so some of them are actually graduates who are ready to start a new chapter in their lives. So they usually have their own online companies, startups, and they come here either as digital nomads or to pursue a new degree. And just last year, Belgrade was ranked 7th in Europe for digital nomads, so for people who actually have some startup companies and who can travel and work from any country, from any city in the world. And additionally, some of them already opened an online startup company and they can travel. So the fact that they work online can actually help them visit any city in the world, but they actually decide to come to Belgrade. And some of them visit Belgrade because of their family members or because they want to get married here. Some of them also seek affordable medical care for themselves or for their children. And of course, there are also young entrepreneurs who actually want to explore the city of Belgrade. And most recently, because of the pandemic, many people have escaped from big cities such as New York, and they came to Belgrade in an attempt to find less restricted travel destination. And I just want to emphasize here that Belgrade had a lockdown last year from March till May, and in some of the states in the European Union, a lockdown is still imposed, and it will stay imposed probably till the 7th of March. And then to answer the third question, I actually looked at some of the attractions or some of the reasons that they state why they actually like Belgrade and not other cities in Europe. So what they usually note is a rich history. And this is what the first picture here should represent. So rich history, a history that actually dates back to at least 7,000 before Christ. So it's a long and rich history. And behind me, you can see the Victor, a monument built to commemorate Serbia's victory over the Ottoman Empire during the Balkan Wars. And then we have the second picture here. And here you can see the biggest Orthodox church in the Balkans, which was completely finished just last year. And then, of course, we have food, sophisticated, healthy, tasty food at low cost. And then housing. So usually when young entrepreneurs look for a new house, a new apartment, they usually mention that in Belgrade, you can find very affordable housing that you cannot find anywhere else. And some other reasons that they might state for staying in Belgrade are hospitality, safety, and work-life balance. So now, after giving you this, again, larger picture of people who come to Serbia or young entrepreneurs, I will now focus on 4 profiles. And I will share some thoughts of people, of young entrepreneurs who came to Serbia, and I just wanted to see what I actually think about Serbia and about Belgrade. So the first profile that I have here is by Thiago Ferreira. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. At least I'm trying. So he is originally from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro, and he came to Serbia in 2010 for the first time. And because of his girlfriend back then, 2 years later, he decided to finally move to Belgrade. And since He is a graduate from one of the hospitality and tourism management programs in Rio de Janeiro. He is also one of the best promoters right now in Serbia. So he didn't want to stay in Rio de Janeiro. He decided to come to Belgrade because Rio de Janeiro is already a very well-known travel destination. So he wanted to promote Serbia. And in June of 2020, he received his Serbian citizenship, in addition to having a YouTube channel where he hosts short videos about Serbia. He also owns a travel agency. Here on the right side, you can see what he actually thinks about Belgrade. So Belgrade is an amazing city. Where do I start? Beautiful people, peaceful streets, a positive vibe. You don't see it, you don't feel anywhere else. A city full of history, and Belgrade is like no other. And here I actually took his Facebook page that you can see. So he's a Brazilian in Serbia, destination manager, tourism consultant, and event planner and life lover. So he started his own company in Belgrade, travel agency actually. And I have a video, a short video that I wanted to show you back from the time when he was much younger. I think it's 2014. I will just show you the first minute or so you can see what he actually thinks about Serbia. Okay.
In Serbia, and not only I'm here, but I have the privilege to be here with Thiago. Thiago is a Brazilian guy from Rio that is basically the most famous guy here in Serbia, okay, or almost that. He is very well known because he has been doing an excellent job of promoting Serbia to Brazilians and to other people around the world. And today we'll have the chance to interview him, and he has been living here for a while. And one question that, of course, we have just to start is, why Serbia? I mean, okay, we've been here for a week, you already love it, but Thiago, tell us, why Serbia?
Hello, Vinicius. I'm glad to be here giving you this interview. It's a pleasure. So I came to Serbia, first of all, because of a girl. So basically, love brought me to Serbia. It was a pretty unusual story. I never expected to come to Serbia before. It wasn't in my plans at all. But once I came here, I really saw a country that was very interesting, very good, something that I couldn't expect at all. It was very surprising to be here and see such a nice people, you know, rich history and culture and everything that we saw here. I think it's amazing. I was very, very amazed. And after the first visit, I couldn't help but want to come back for more. And I've been living here for 1.5 years now, a little bit more actually than 1.5 years. And I've been enjoying it a lot and promoting it so other Brazilians and people from all over the world can see and discover Serbia, how I discovered it, and maybe fall in love like I did.
Thiago, we probably...
Okay, so that was just a little bit for you to see. So if you decide to want more, you can definitely do so. But I have 3 more profiles that I wanted to share with you today. And let's see here. Next person I have here is actually a young graduate from Switzerland. Originally, she's from the Netherlands, but she graduated from one of the colleges in Switzerland and then had an idea to show the city of Belgrade to tourists from her own perspective. So she started her business back in 2017, and her goal was to drive tourists through the city in a Serbian car make. And I don't know if any of you can recognize this car make, but in Serbia, it was actually Zastava 1300. And I have here a short video that I want to share with you. So her company is called City Soul, and we will see what kind of tours she's organizing for all the tourists who come to Belgrade. 2 additional ones. So back, and you can also see here what she thinks about Serbia as well. So I found interesting that there was something that she admitted she didn't like about Serbia, which is understandable. So she thinks that she doesn't like that Serbian people don't try to develop their country. And I'll talk more about that in the end, in my conclusion as well. So just last year, Belgrade got 2 more citizens from New York. So Davis Richardson decided to call Belgrade his new home. He escaped from New York and decided to come to Belgrade. He purchased a new condo, and he decided to stay in Belgrade and to live here. And he has his own startup company. He is a communication specialist, and this is what he thinks about Belgrade. So this city has a magical way of healing you. You can explore hidden underground fortresses, observe traditions going back centuries, and have conversations with nuance. If things keep going the way they are in the United States, with social unrest and lockdowns, I think more and more people will come here. And I do have here another video that I wanted to share with you, and it's by an elderly couple, and they decided to move to Serbia as well.
This is Scott and Shelley Weir from We're Outta Here, and we're in Belgrade, Serbia for the next couple months, and we are checking places out around the world that we think might be possible destinations for a permanent home.
We sold our home, put everything in storage, and left the U.S. in search of a life worth living. Join us now as we explore Belgrade.
What you doing today?
Walking around Belgrade, Serbia.
Wow. What do you think about it?
I think it's pretty damn nice.
It's gorgeous. I love this city. Love it. It's so underrated. No one knows about it. No one talks about it. No one comes to visit from our neck of the woods. This place is stunning.
And we hope it stays there.
Yeah.
So as you can see, they're still looking for the perfect place, but I hope they will decide to come to Belgrade and move to Belgrade. So we'll see how that goes. And then I have the last profile here that I wanted to share with you. And I don't know if anybody can recognize this person, Adam Davenport. So he is an American actor, as some of you might know, DJ, record producer, singer, songwriter, and filmmaker from the HBO series High Maintenance. And he came to Serbia just last year because he always wanted to live in Europe, and he has his own acting school and teaches online. So, and as you can see on this picture, he just got his residence permit, and he's now officially a resident of Serbia, and he's saying that he just loves Serbia. So it's very interesting to see all the emotional expressions or that enthusiasm that all the tourists and foreign entrepreneurs have in common, I think. So as we can see, many foreigners who came to Serbia were looking for a change in their lives, but then they brought a change to Belgrade as well. And they're actually the new representatives of the city. And I also argue that the citizens of Belgrade should learn from them how to value many things that this city has to offer. So first of all, how to prioritize things in life. So the social life that for these young people is very important. And as Thiago Ferreira said at the beginning, is also something that people, and that vibe is also something that people cannot find anywhere else. So secondly, with the self-initiative that all these foreigners have in common, they were also able to create their own world in which they can connect the most beautiful things, their online work with the beautiful landscapes and affordable housing. And last but not least, all these new representatives of the city of Belgrade might be one of the reasons for all the Serbian people who have emigrated to the Western countries to repatriate after 20 or 30 years living abroad. So in sum, just to summarize, all the foreigners living in Belgrade borrow an additional layer of optimism and a positive look into the future. And I'm sure that because of all the improvements that I showed at the beginning and that have been made thus far, including the fact that Serbia is one of a few countries in Europe, that will produce Russian vaccines. And because of the implementation of some new laws, such as a new 1-year residency status and work permit, the importance of international relations and foreign entrepreneurs for Belgrade and Serbia in general has been recognized, and that even more foreign entrepreneurs will see Belgrade as paradise in which they would like to reside. And in the end, I would like to thank the Department of Germanic Languages and Literatures and the Max Kade Foundation for giving me the fellowship that has allowed me to spend the final stages of, or the final stage of completing my dissertation in Belgrade, where some of the pictures presented here were taken and where the idea about this research was actually born. And the Slavic department for organizing this graduate student lecture. It was a great opportunity to present my research findings, and also thank you all for staying until the end of my presentation. So this is all what I have for you for today.
Thank you so much, Budimka. It was so nice to see Serbia through your eyes. As you know, we have a new allegiance with the University of Belgrade through the Serbian Educational Alliance. And it's really, all of us at the Center for Slavic and East European Studies have been paying more attention to Serbia. So it's have a link in your person and in this topic. I love those, especially the images of the film entrepreneurs, and especially all of the, it's interesting to think about what kind of contemporary tourism research is possible, both in person and also, of course, through social media and other kinds of web sources. I think we have a few questions coming, perhaps. Let's see. Teodora asks, great topic, fascinating talk. Thank you. This is Professor Dragosinova. Do you think that the fact that Serbia is not in the EU works to its advantage on some level? That is, does it make it easier for foreigners to settle there? And she also asks, you probably know the work of Sunny Rucker-Chang, but she looks at global South migrants in Serbia during the Cold War and today. You check out her work. It might provide some more historical context that would be useful. She shows how the earlier experience with people of color from the Cold War has been revived recently by official Serbian policies. This might be key here too. And so that might be, I don't know if you can address some of those questions about foreigners and people of color.
So thank you so much for your questions. I think this is also a very interesting topic. And that's what I tried to address as well by categorizing my profiles to include that diversity that we can see in Belgrade, and as you probably saw at Davenport, and also some other foreigners that I have not showed in my research are people of color, and they're very well accepted here in Belgrade. I think that some of them might be better accepted here than in any other country. And I know that I have come across some other profiles, and they actually escaped back in June because of all unrest in New York, and then also in the United States. And they were all people of color, and they came to Serbia and they found more safety here, and they said we are safer here than anywhere else in the world. And I think it's also something interesting to look into and to do further and conduct further studies. I think it's a very, very interesting topic, and that's something that Serbia, and back then it was Yugoslavia, was also very well known for, that we offered college tuitions back then, and that many people from Africa and from other countries where people of color lived came to Serbia, and they had the opportunity to study, and like from Nigeria or from Kenya or from other countries, and they had the opportunity to study and to stay in Belgrade. Some of them became doctors and lawyers, and yeah, and I think that to some extent that time is somehow coming back, or I don't know. I just think that some things are happening again. Some good things that happened in our past are happening again right now. And then speaking of European Union, I think I absolutely agree that right now when we speak about vaccines and the fact that many countries in the European Union have not started giving vaccines to their elderly population, I think that it is an advantage to some extent. And we can see how many people in Serbia have received their vaccines. And Serbia, as I was able to find in some newspapers, is ranked as second, just after Great Britain, based on the number of vaccines that the elderly population actually received. So that would be one of those advantages, because they are not, they don't depend on, they're just independent, and they don't have to rely on the European Union, but at the same time, they have to find other connections and to develop those diplomatic relations with other countries. And yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah, especially the question of vaccines. And we see that, Hungary is trying to break with the EU and get their vaccines sooner because they don't want to wait for what they see as bureaucracy, but they also want to demonstrate their independence. But Serbia is not in that situation. That's an interesting point. Morgan Fox asks about tourism. She said she's been reading about tourism in particularly Southeast Asian countries, that there's been an influx of social media influencers who moved to these countries because they could live a luxury lifestyle without paying for it because of the lower GDP, et cetera. And at the same time, they're completely oblivious to the actual issues in the country that they're living in. Is that also a trend you've seen in the example of Serbia, or is it a possible problem that could arise?
That's a great question. I think that's a great question. And for all those young people who travel around the world and who actually attempt to find the best place for themselves, they don't look at the issues that are happening in many of the countries. And I'm sure that Belgrade is one of the bigger cities where young entrepreneurs are heading to, and that they're just not aware of all the issues. They just look for the good, and I think that's understandable, because they're trying to escape from big cities, from the issues, from the problems that they already have. And why would they look for some other issues? Why would they like to face some other issues on the other side? They just want to find like more freedom and I guess more areas that do not impose some of restrictions that they have in their own country. So.
Well, and certainly I would think that the question of English language is a big one. You mentioned that in one of your quotes that, of course, I want to learn Serbian, but I haven't been able to yet because everybody I've met speaks English. And that's a really interesting question as well. So Tatiana Dobnia asks a question in the chat. Thank you for your presentation. It was a great cultural insight into a developing Belgrade. I have a question about your perspective on the development of youth culture in Belgrade now. What are some trends? How is the national music, film, theater developing? How is youth involved? How is the young population invested in staying in Serbia and in developing it instead of immigrating elsewhere? She says she finds it a trend in Ukraine recently, which is hopeful, of course.
Yeah. So as I mentioned at the beginning, many people are leaving the country, and I think that's a bad sign. But then so in my generation, speaking of my generation, for example, I think I was the only one who left the country. So back in 2011. So all of my friends have stayed in Serbia, and they're employed. They have been working since 2011, and for them, it's absolutely fine. So back then, I just had different ideas, and that's why I left. But I think that many young people who look for more, they would definitely leave the country. So it also depends on some priorities, as I said in my presentation, and what actually makes people happy. And I think nowadays it's also about happiness. It's not about material goods and how much money one can make, but it's also about happiness. And my friends back then stayed because of their family members, because of all the friends that I had. And then speaking of music, film, theater developing, I know that films, as I mentioned in my presentation, have been made. A lot of those movies have been made in Serbia. But then speaking of theater, with COVID-19, I just don't think there are any improvements as of now, because when you make a movie, then you have your crew, and then you can film a movie, and you know how many people can be in one room, and just a different world. And then if you want to have a theater play, then you know that only 50% of your audience can be present at the moment, and that's something that is, I guess, is not good for the development of all the plays that might be in place. So I think that we'll just have to wait till that the whole situation with COVID is over, and then there might be some changes. So as of now, I'm not aware of anything because of the pandemic, but we will see after the pandemic is over how things will change.
I get so surprised when I talk to my friends in Moscow who are at the theater, and I say, how can you be at the theater? You know, that with 25% or 50% opening in some countries, at least some life is retained and is actually happening or trying to happen. So Eileen wants to ask a question about other cities in the larger region, both I think in Serbia and maybe a little bit outside. Do you see Belgrade being significantly different than other cities in the larger region, or are similar things happening in other nearby countries and even cities in cities in Serbia? Sorry. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
So in Serbia, I think Belgrade is the only one because it's the biggest one. There are others like Novi Sad. I think Novi Sad might be one of the other cities that might see the same kind of development. But then of course, there are other countries in the regions. Croatia, I think that Croatia had a lot of tourists just last summer when there were so many restrictions all over the place in other countries. In Croatia, there were many tourists, and the whole coast, I think it was just booked out. So I think that many people from European Union had the opportunity to travel there. I know that, for example, in Spain, right at the beginning, back in June or even at the end of May, many German people went there, and then they didn't adhere to the new rules, policies, and then I think that the season in Spain was not as good as it was in Croatia because there were no restrictions and people just behaved differently. But then I think in August that there was, in the end, there was a lockdown in Croatia as well. So.
Mm-hmm. This is a particularly difficult time, isn't it, to talk about tourism? Yeah. But I think that, you know, entrepreneurship and sort of online presence, people are able to continue to create content about Belgrade even during the pandemic, and we have to hope that we will be able to see positive trends. I'm particularly interested in whether people are going to start to be living both in Belgrade and elsewhere, whether we'll see maybe I don't know whether intellectual elites or cultural elites, business elites, whether people will be moving back and forth. And also, you know, whether people will be living in Belgrade and other parts of Serbia, whether they will have smaller, you know, retaining attachments to smaller places in Serbia and still participating in the life of the capital.
Yeah, I'm sure, because like for all those film producers, if you go to that website, Film in Serbia, there are other places, small places where they can film. Mm-hmm. So now for all other tourists, I think that they have certain things that they look for in every city they would like to visit, and maybe smaller places cannot offer that at the moment. So mm-hmm. That's why I think bigger cities. But then on the other hand, I'm sure that there will be people who will have maybe 2 apartments, 2 houses, mm-hmm. one in the United States and one here in Serbia, and that might be one of the newest trends that we'll see.
It certainly seems to be a trend in the EU. It has been in recent years, and certainly places like Russia, where people have another residence elsewhere when they can afford it. So I am so grateful to you for this wonderful talk. It was super interesting. I am dying to go to Belgrade myself, and I will hope to do so when this all ends. And now I know I can take a direct flight from New York. So
oh, yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming. It was really nice having some audience and having some interactions. And I know that we will also post this on YouTube, as long as Budimka is okay with it, on our Slavic Center YouTube channel, so that we can share some of our friends in Belgrade and other folks across the country. Victoria says, Hvala Budimka. Thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you for your interesting research.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was my pleasure.
All right. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.